Hi everyone, so we're going to be looking into how we can recreate the simple stack just so we could play around with the vertical and horizontal stacks. So how do we add an image on top of a text or an image beside a text or like two images beside each other, and how to play around with the different paddings and just getting rid of any spacing between different segments on your application. So first thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to open up Xcode. If you don't have Xcode, you're going to have to install it. So I'll just type in Xcode, open, and you can see right here that I get this pop-up for Xcode. And then I'm going to click on New Project, and I'm going to make one specifically for iOS. So I'll just make sure the app is highlighted, and then I'll click Next. And then for the product name, I'll just call it horizontal and vertical design, something like that. The team part doesn't really matter too much if you are part of some team. And then interface, we're going to use Swift UI. We're going to use the language of Swift. I'm going to put the testing to none for now. I'll make a future video on how we can set up unit tests for Swift. I'm going to make a future video on how to set up unit tests for Swift. For now, we'll say none for these two, and then we'll go next. And then on our desktop, we will save whatever we need, and that'll be fine. Create. And then here, now you can see that we have a basic area where we can begin coding. And you can see on the left side here, we have the text editor where we're able to write our code. We can see the folder structure on the left side. And then on the right side, we could see the actual device on how whatever we're coding here is going to show up on the right side. So this is perfect for us getting started. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to play around with this, and you can see it's already stacked. Pretty much it's already showing you that there's a VStack with the image and a text. So VStack just means vertical stack. So the image goes first on top and then the text comes below. So here, let's say I want to do something else. So I will say developer resources here. And you can see once I start typing, this automatically updates. But I also want a different image. Let's say I pick one that's already given, just to make it simple. So I'll just use heart, and you can see a heart shows up, and I can do different things here. I can do dot fill. So now it fills up that heart, and I could play with the scale if I want. I could make the foreground, I'm going to make it a foreground color, and it's going to be dot pink, and you can see now the heart turns into a pink color. And then I'll do a dot font for changing the size to be a little bit bigger. So you can see, like, as I start typing, there was a automatic kind of methods that are given to you and setup that's given to you. So you can just push tab on the keyboard to automatically fill out the rest of the line for you. And you can see here that the heart is a lot bigger. And now that we have the text, I could also, at the bottom, I'll do a dot font and then dot title. So you can see it gives this kind of like larger text. It's already built in for the size of that title. And I want to, let's say, now add something more to the bottom. So you can see for now it is the image at the top and then the text at the bottom. But what I really want is I want another line where the image is on the left side and then the text on the right side. So what we're going to be doing here, before I get into anything else, I'm going to just keep going here, and you'll see eventually that there's going to be some issues. So I'm going to put H stack, and then I'll make that image again. And you can see as I start typing, I get all these additional options as to it could help me. But here you can see it's already automatically trying to fill it out in a very faint text, and I can just hit tab, and you can see that it is starting to fill in on its own. And then there's image scale, foreground color, which is actually what I want, but I don't want the other image, but I'll hit tab, and then I'll just delete this, and I'm going to just change I'll just change the image to a heart again, heart.fill, and then it's going to be image large, okay. We can make it blue this time, that's fine. And then I'll put a dot font again for the dot system, and then size of 60 again, just to keep it consistent. And then I'll make a text for, let's make a text for just another title. I'll put developer resources again, and then I'm going to make the font a little bit bigger. Dot title, let's try title 2. Okay, so you can see here the title 2 is slightly smaller than the title 1, or that title that we had before. So this is nice that we have it beside one another, but let's say I also want 2 images beside one another, so I'll put 2 hearts right beside each other. And what I'm going to be doing here is, just so I'll put some padding again, and I'll make it padding 80 so I can make a little bit more spacing. And then I'll put a background of color dot gray dot opacity of 0.2, so you can see opacity will make it faded out, so it's not a solid gray, but it will be of 0.2 opacity, so we could see everything really nice. And of course we want to we'll fix all this padding stuff very soon, but for right now let's keep going. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to make H stack again here, H stack, and we're going to have some sort of spacing, and it is spacing of 40. And then we are going to have an image, and we're going to have a system name diamond dot fill, and I'll make that lowercase, diamond dot fill. And let's see, oh, this one does not need a period there, it's just H stack. So we could see here we're starting to get that diamond, so it's just H stack, no period at the front there. And I'm just going to make it look a little bit more prettier, so I'll put image scale large, good, and then dot foreground color, and it will be dot blue, and then dot font of dot system, size of 60. Perfect. And then I'm going to have another image, and we'll have system name. Again, we'll just make a diamond again, dot fill, and then image dot image scale, dot foreground color, and I'll just make it dot yellow this time, and then a dot font of dot system, and we'll make that 60 again. So you can see here, because of the H stack, horizontal, so we're going from left to right, we're going to put the images beside one another, and you can see here it looks really nice. But I also want to, let me just add a dot padding 80, and then I'll put a dot background of color. Let me put color dot mint dot opacity of 0.2, just so it looks a little bit different. So you can see here that we have a horizontal stack, but you see here how it is, it's pretty much so you can see here that the H stack has made this entire mint box extend to the edges, and that actually looks a lot nicer. So what I want to do is I actually want to fix this area as well, so it is looking a little bit better, and maybe I could put like a background around here if I really wanted to as well. So make it, I don't know, dot, let's make it dot yellow. There we go. So we could just see what the edges look like, and you can see these two here, these two boxes are not touching the edge from left to right, and we want to fix that. So let's add another property, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding another vertical stack. So around everything I'll make a V stack, and then I could put spacing of 0, and then here I'll put one bracket opening, and then I will put one bracket at the end, near the end here, so then it encapsulates everything. And this word spacing should be lowercase s, so spacing lowercase s, save it. Okay, so we got rid of the little white spaces in between each of the boxes. And what we want to do is we want to also have it extend from left to right to each edge. So let's see how we could do that. Okay, so what we can do in order to fix this, we can actually add under this first V stack, we'll also put a dot frame. And what this frame will do is we can add a maximum width of dot infinity, and you can see here that now it is touching from edge to edge. And then I can just copy over this dot frame and also put it here in the below the next H stack, and that extends that gray bar, and I believe there's a small little white edge right there as well along the left and right sides here. So I'll just put a dot frame as well, and yeah, it actually looks a lot better. I'm not sure if you guys were able to see it on the screen, but there was a very faint line. So this ensures that any small little white edges are removed, and now we can see that we are extending the boxes from left to right edges.